We begin tonight with former professional skateboarder Mark Rogowski, who is set to go before a parole board next Thursday, November 7th. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Rogowski, who went by the nickname Gator in his skating days, has spent the past 3 decades in prison for the rape and murder of a 22-year-old woman.
He has been granted parole twice in recent years, but both times Governor Gavin Newsom denied his release. So will this third time have a different outcome? We talked with Rogowski's attorney about his chance at freedom and the lawsuit he has filed against the governor.
What I'll do.
He was a 1980s skateboarding pioneer, known across the globe by one name, Gator. But Mark Rogowski had a dark and violent side, which surfaced on March 21st, 1991. On that night, the 24-year-old celebrity skater used a metal anti-theft vehicle club to brutally beat 22-year-old Jessica Bergston, his ex-girlfriend's best friend. He handcuffed her, then raped her. The details of her final hours in his beachside Carlsbad condo horrified people here locally and across the nation.
At the end of the sexual assault, deciding she was making too much noise and in fear that the neighbors might hear her cries for help, placed her inside of a surfboard bag. And while inside the surfboard bag, then strangled her.
Rogowski then drove to the desert in Ocotillo, where he buried Bergston's body in a shallow grave. As the investigation intensified, Rogowski turned himself in. He pleaded no contest in his criminal trial and was sentenced to 31 years in prison. He is currently housed at the Donovan Correctional Facility in Otay Mesa and has served 33 years. Now 58, Rogowski will make his case for parole once more on November 7th. It will be his third chance at freedom in the past 5 years.
He's been granted parole at his last 2 hearings, 2019 and 2022, by the Board of Parole Hearings. However, in any murder case, the governor has the right to overturn a grant, and so that's what the governor did.
Attorney Laura Shepard represents Rogowski. She says the past 2 times the parole board found Rogowski to be remorseful and agreed he has worked to rehabilitate himself. She believes the parole board has no other choice than to allow his release again.
So he's been a model prisoner in terms of his behavior. He's also been a model prisoner in terms of his efforts to rehabilitate himself. He's been super remorseful since day one.
Shepard says Rogowski, who admitted he used to hold anger towards women, has started a gender abuse prevention course in prison and has had only 1 serious rules violation while in prison, way back in 1994.
He's paid a heavy price, and there's no amount of time that can, give back Miss Bergston's life or make this okay. It's never going to be okay. But the legal question is, does he present a danger to the public? And Mark has amply demonstrated that he doesn't.
But not everyone agrees. San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan is among them. She opposes Rogowski's release, and like she's done before, will urge the governor to overturn the board's decision if Rogowski is granted parole again.
I can't help but picture the victim's last thoughts, to die in that kind of terror and fear. And he had many opportunities to back out of that situation and just didn't.
Stephan says her office will continue to fight to keep Rogowski behind bars.
We still feel that he shouldn't be released, and that is the position that we're going to take.
Rogowski is also looking to the courts to try and gain his freedom. Last year, he filed a lawsuit against Governor Newsom, alleging the governor did not have legal reasoning to overturn the board's decision. Newsom cited 2 altercations Rogowski had, which resulted in verbal disagreements with fellow prisoners. That case is now making its way through the courts. Again, Rogowski's parole hearing is set for next Thursday, November 7th.
A fight between a man with a tire iron and another man with a knife at a mobile home park in El Cajon early this morning ended when a car crashed into an RV. The driver of the car died at the scene. As CBS 8's David Goffredson reports, police are still questioning the other man involved in that fight.
There was arguing and yelling going on there. I heard a crashed out window over here at Space 28.
Doorbell cam video shows a vehicle speeding away from the scene of a street fight around 5 in the morning Tuesday at an RV park on Shady Lane in El Cajon. The car turns a corner and smashes into a trailer. The driver had been stabbed and died at the scene.
At this crash scene, I saw the guy literally die in front of me.
Where was he stabbed?
He was stabbed in the abdomen. He had blood all over his, his abdomen and his thoracic region.
Neighbor Robert Martin told me a husband who lives in the park with his wife and child was confronted by the man in the car who was armed with a tire iron. The husband came out of the house with a knife.
The guy tried to bust in his door, hit him with a crowbar, busted out the back of his window, and then he said he stabbed him.
The husband, who has not been publicly identified, can be seen on the doorbell cam video walking around with a head wound, telling neighbors he was trying to protect his wife and child.
The child was in the house while all this was going on.
How old's the child?
I think the child's, maybe 2 or 3 years old.
El Cajon police responded. They say the husband was treated at the hospital and then detained by investigators for questioning. It's unclear whether he will face charges.
The guy smacked in my trailer and did a bunch of damage.
Neighbor David Gardner was inside his trailer when the car came plowing into the front of his RV.
I came running outside and there was a bunch of cops all around. The guy was dead in the car.
Neighbors tell me the people who live in the complex are mostly seniors, and the RV park is usually nice and quiet. They say the altercation was captured on park surveillance video, which was handed over to El Cajon police.
To have this kind of trauma happen right when you start your day off, I'm in total shock from all of this.
The 28-year-old homicide victim still has not been identified. We'll let you know when we get any more information on the case. In El Cajon, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Thank you, David. After years of complaints and being rated one of San Diego's most neglected streets, today city crews began much-needed repairs on Agua Mansa Road in Mira Mesa. It hadn't seen major repairs in more than 20 years and was dubbed Alligator Road because of its webs and cracks. With its failed rating, the street was deemed so distressed that it required full reconstruction. One neighbor told us he's happy the road is being fixed.
It wasn't always so bad, but now I guess we are the worst street in San Diego. But it's getting done.
There are still plenty of other roads around San Diego that need repairs. Right now, only about 1 in 5 streets in the city are considered to be in good condition.
A big development tonight in efforts to stop the sewage flow in the South Bay and the stench that comes with it. The U.S. section of the International Boundary and Water Commission celebrated the start of a project today to revamp and expand the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant.
As CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes tells us, this project could double the facility's capacity to help minimize cross-border sewage.
Here on the property of that wastewater treatment facility, and I got to tell you, the smell is stronger and more pungent than I have ever personally experienced. And that was perfect for today's announcement because every speaker who took to the podium had to comment on the smell and the possible experience of the people who live nearby. But they say today's announcement of the millions of dollars that are now flowing into this project could make the dream of fixing it a reality.
Hay que arreglarlo. Let's fix it.
U.S. representatives joined Mexican officials and local officials announcing their successful collaboration and launch to finally fix the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant. Mike Watson, Senior Vice President with Stantec, is in charge of the project's building and design. And he says even his son has experienced issues in the ocean because of the sewage flows from Mexico into our waterways and ocean.
He swam in the ocean. I remember him telling stories of me saying, Dad, you know, my teammates would come back and they'd have skin irritation, they'd have eye infections, they'd have other ailments.
Local, state, and federal leaders gathered to celebrate the hundreds of millions of dollars finally flowing into the project to help fix the current infrastructure and to expand the current treatment facility's capacity of treating 25 million gallons per day to 50 million gallons per day. They're also aiming to reach a peak of 75 million gallons of wastewater at peak times. Watson says they'll combine construction and design to save time.
This will allow us to sequence construction and design in such a way to save time, create early wins, resulting in improved water quality as we progress the design and construction of the project.
The project is slated to start work this year, but the full project's cost can't be known until spring of 2025, when 30% of the work is already done. Some people living near the plant say they're losing hope of real progress because the problem has been decades in the making. Congressman Vargas says this time they can count on real results because the money is there.
The money, because this time there's money. I mean, when people say, hey, we're going to fix this, we're going to fix this, but there's no money, you aren't going to fix a thing. We have over $400 million right now. We still need $200 million for the surges. That is when they have a really bad problem. But you know what? We got over $400 million. That's something.
Local leaders say this time, San Diegans from all over the county are getting behind this effort to stop the stink, improve health, and open beaches to everyone.
San Diegans know that if any of us were dealing with this kind of constant flow of sewage and pollution and impacts to our health, that it affects all of us.
Our congressional leaders also say that this was an international collaborative effort involving Mexican officials, which they say they didn't really have in the past. But now that that assistance is there from Mexico, they are confident that they can finally move forward. They also point to the CDC's visit here in the South Bay earlier this month, gathering data and talking to locals about their experience. So hopefully we can all one day look forward to the day where they stop the stink. The project is supposed to be under construction for the next 5 years. Reporting for CBS 8, I'm Kirsten Holmes.
All right, let's hope it does make a difference. Thanks so much, Kirsten. Halloween is just 2 days away, and the city of Poway is getting a special treat with no tricks.
Trader Joe's is opening a new location tomorrow at the Poway City Center on Poway Road. Tonight we're getting our first look inside and around the 10,000 square foot store. A ribbon cutting ceremony set to mark the grand opening tomorrow. We're told there will be tastings and giveaways. The store opens at 9 a.m.